Kenshi is a brutal open world game where most of your time will be spent dying. You usually have no money to your name, no weapons, and in some cases, no arms. Leading such a useless life lends many of us to the darker side of petty crime, sneaking around, and stealing just to make ends meet. But surely you can't solve all your problems in life by sneaking around and killing them off. Or can you? That's the goal for today. To see if we can beat Kenshi without ever getting seen. We'll have to actually get started. But where do we start? No. We need something that isn't a group of people, since they'll all see each other, immediately breaking the rules. And someone who doesn't start off in a city, since they'll definitely get seen. Wanderer sounds pretty good. A single person wandering the world on their own? That sounds perfect. Now we just need to construct the perfect person. Someone who is no more than a shadow. Someone so small and petite, they're mistaken for a speck of dust as they run by. Yeah, that's perfect. It doesn't even fit on the screen. One last touch.
Let's go, bruh. Come on, man.
Okay, this clearly isn't gonna work. We'll have to change to the rock bottom start. This one is guaranteed to be alone. We've basically been left for dead. The only downside is that we only have one arm. On the bright side, we appear to be fully alone this time. For real. Nothing but the open desert and, naked dude. We began our naked trek across the sand dunes, heading towards Cat-lon. Granted, Kenshi is an open world sandbox game similar to Minecraft, which means it can be difficult to define beating the game. However, based on the game's topography and difficulty, most people enter this region and defeat the boss here last. Meaning that, in my opinion, making this trek across the entire map and defeating Cat-lon is equivalent to beating the game. However, I quickly realized that there was more than just humans that we had to avoid. Right away, we were spotted by Garus and forced to restart. The next time, we were caught by sand skimmers. This meant that all of the red lines on the map were basically off limits. It wasn't going to be as easy as keeping an eye out for a wandering pack of traitors, since that actually did happen and I still got caught. No. If we wanted to do this, we would probably have to avoid any and all wildlife, which in this game means we need to go to the ocean. The ocean in Kenshi has literally nothing in it, and acts more as an invisible wall around the map to keep players in. But in this case, it would guarantee our safety. With Naked Dude's new goal of becoming an athlete in swimming, he grew gills and headed east. After luckily avoiding any more encounters, we soon crested a hill and saw the ocean in the distance. Not long after that, we were dipping our toes in the water for the first time.
It was at this moment he knew he fucked up.
Yeah, so it turns out that it's really hard for someone with only one arm to swim. Meaning that even after like 30 minutes of swimming, we had only gone this far. The longer we swam, the more our swimming XP went up, but with our missing arm and decreasing hunger bar, we weren't even able to maintain our top speed, which meant it was back to walking. Only to be quickly reminded of why we stopped walking in the first place. Despite avoiding any sort of oncoming conflicts, it was actually from behind us that a bunch of skimmers appeared out of nowhere, meaning that we were once again back to the Great Desert with one arm. I tried once again to make it on foot, this time deciding to stick near the water but not go in it. Unfortunately, this did mean we'd have to sneak past a port city, which was surprisingly not that hard actually, since these guards apparently don't know how to turn their heads at all and completely ignored us. But just a couple yards down from that, I noticed a turret guard who was looking right at us. Well, at least he would have been if it weren't for this conveniently placed massive rock that was in the way. Using the rock to our advantage, we snuck by and made our way further down the land, eventually entering Howler Maze. This location is known for the crabs that roam in it, but it's not really known for any human beings, which should hopefully make it easier to cross. However, crabs weren't the only issue here, since it began to pour down acid rain. As if we weren't slow enough already. Now our feet had been burned up and we were reduced to crawling. Not to mention that our hunger had gotten so low that we were literally passing out. It had become clear that none of my ideas so far had worked, and it was back to the drawing board entirely. This time, I decided to go with the Hive Exile start. I mean, it was literally called Exile. Not only that, but there was no mention of a missing arm, which means that swimming might be back on the table for us. This time, I also took our appearance more seriously, creating the most lightweight aerodynamic assassin you've ever seen. He also just happens to look like a crab. With that, it was finally time to be all alone. Wait a minute, what is this? Who are these people? Are you joking? The Hive exile starts out in the middle of the Hive? He wasn't exiled at all. This guy basically rules this place. Luckily, after multiple tries, we finally made it out unseen and could begin our journey by ourselves. The plan was simple: make it to the ocean, and then swim all the way to cat-lon's front door and hand-deliver him a pipe bomb. At least this time we had both of our hands, and we weren't starving yet. It would probably be a waste of the next 4 hours of my life, but I was willing to do it for science. Of course, this was easier said than done, as the ocean was still on the other side of some major roadway connections. I basically had to play Kenshi Frogger before I could even get there. On our first attempt, I was caught by some passing traders, but after restarting and coming back, we were able to duck down and stay undetected. Eventually, we approached the ocean, where I almost got caught by another random group of traders who were all the way out here for no reason. But luckily we slipped past them too, and began our maiden voyage. Although, this trip might not take as long as I thought it would. I mean, look at this guy's form. He knows what he's doing. Despite the jokes, we were actually making really good time. Crab was learning how to swim, and he was swimming faster than 0 miles per hour, which was already light years ahead of our last attempt. His excellent form was carrying us up the ranks of swimming and bringing us closer to cat-lon. But at the end of the day, sometimes walking is just faster, and going around a rack was gonna take us forever. So I decided to take the risk and head on land just for a little bit. The only reason I was even taking this risk was because I knew there was only spiders here, and they're usually closer to the center, meaning that we would probably be unbothered. But to my surprise, there actually was a sign of life all the way out here. I contemplated the thought of even walking past it, since it was completely unknown what could be inside. But as we got closer, it became more apparent that this was likely nothing more than an abandoned building from before the spiders took over. However, the lab wasn't the only sign of human life over here, as there was a major trade route set right after that, which meant that we would be forced back into the sea for our own safety. Probably for the best, since I could see some humans off in the distance who definitely would have seen us otherwise. After some more swimming, I took another shortcut on land. I just wanted to cut across the bottom of Hook really quick and then get back in the water, but even for the small amount of time I spent on land, I saw a ton of people. It was a good reminder that there was pretty much no reason to ever go back on land after this. So, we began our last trek of swimming. We just had to make it to the shores of the Ashlands, entering through Cheater's Run, which is probably an accurate description of what we're doing. Either way, we began swimming. Ooh, look, shiny metal object. As we got closer and closer to the Ashlands, it became obvious, as even the ocean was becoming littered with the corpses of robot spiders. But honestly, this was good timing, because all of that swimming had begun to make Crab go hungry. I mean, to be fair, it's been almost a week since he's eaten, and he's been swimming the entire time. Taking the cue from his body, Crab began to head inland and prepare for the final battle. Unfortunately, the only way to reach cat-lon's domain is by going up and around this little point of the makeshift star here. The rest of the surrounding areas are massive cliffsides that are impossible to climb, which means that we would have to go back to our old ways of sneaking around, trying to avoid any robots like this massive cleanser or the huge pack of security spiders that I almost ran into. After entering the Ashlands, we had some minor chest pain and got diagnosed with angina before walking past the single security spider that was protecting the entrance, meaning that we were free to walk right up to cat-lon's house. I took the long way, avoiding any other domiciles in the area, as they're usually filled to the brim with robots, and decided to slowly approach cat-lon's front door from the side. By this point, we had become a sneaking master, so it was no surprise once we were inside that we were able to freely walk up behind cat-lon and prepare for our assassination. You might be wondering to yourself, how can a naked, starving hiver with no weapon defeat cat-lon? The answer is short: by cheating. You see now why we came in through Cheater's Run? See, cat-lon is so obsessed with himself that once you attempt to assassinate him, it'll actually start a dialogue, and he'll go on and on about his life without even paying attention to you, giving you ample time to make some attempts on his life. And even though we had no practice in whacking people over the head, Crab was a quick learner, and managed to get in a lucky shot that knocked cat-lon to the ground. With cat-lon's head spinning from the blow, we were able to reach down and rip out his brains, causing cat-lon to be legally pronounced dead, and allowing us to become the new ruler of Kenshi. A nobody assassin that no one has ever seen or met. No one even knows that he exists, and yet he rules the world. This took 7 in-game days of swimming and multiple real-life hours. If you decided to do it all on land, I think it would be 10 times harder, if not impossible. So if you want me to try and suffer through that, leave a comment. But for now, I hope you enjoyed the video and have a great day.